All right, here we are. Episode 23, Best Coast Sports Connection. My favorite time, Taco Tuesday.
Oh.
Andy Bishop, Brian Vilvin, Thomas Conroy.
Great
we
to
meet
be here,
again.
guys.
Absolutely. Rob Bish, how many tacos could you take down if you were in taco eating contests?
Well, if we're talking street tacos, probably over 30.
I was thinking 30 was like the mark.
Because I
So
did.
we're in episode 23. You're saying for sure over
We
23.
should have done a challenge.
We'll
We'll do it soon.
25.
You know what we should do? In episode 30, we'll make sure it's on a Tuesday, and 30 will be your
Over
mark.
under.
We're going
Over
under episode 30, Rob Bish Taco Tuesday challenge.
All right, man.
And you have the length. Does time matter for you? It's not gonna be like 10 minutes or something, but
It's got to be like that. Would need to be within like 30 minutes.
okay,
or something like that.
So let's do 30 street tacos within 30 minutes on episode 30, and that'll be the challenge. So
30
we'll,
for 30
we'll
for
talk
30.
for 30 seconds. We'll talk for 30 minutes. We'll have our timer, and throughout the course of it, you'll be wolfing it down. Thomas and I will do the lion's share there. So you guys are in on the ground floor of all these groundbreaking ideas.
Yeah. Well, football season is over.
Kind of, right? The XFL just started.
Yeah,
So.
I thought I was going to enjoy a Sunday without football, but then came the
Yeah.
XFL.
Football is over.
We'll start with the big football story in our minds, of course, as the big news yesterday. Phillip Rivers and the Chargers organization agree to part ways,
Yep.
and Rivers will go into free agency. We're pretty right screen Phillip Rivers loaded here with Thomas and the jersey up there. Obviously, Rivers a guy that we loved when we cheered for the Chargers. Is this surprising to you at all, Brian?
No, I don't think so. I'm glad it happened. I think the bigger shock would have been if he went back to the Chargers. But this is like the way that now you have your full-on clean break with the team. Because before, like, of course, you still want Phillip to do well, but you don't want the team to succeed. So it's like a really weird back and forth. But now, completely split. We're divorced from the Chargers, and wherever Phillip Rivers goes, I will follow, at least for, while he's there. I don't know that I'll stay a fan of whatever team he ends up with, but for now, that's my team. I really like the photo that you sent us earlier.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a cartoon that my dad shared with me, and it was I got to think. What did it say?
It was a dad
Yeah.
walking with his kid, and he said, "What's your favorite football team, son?" And then his son says, "Whatever team signs that guy," and it's Phillip Rivers walking away with a suitcase, or like a suitcase, I guess, in his Charger uniform. So,
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
yeah, absolutely. Thomas, your take on this?
Yeah, I think it was pretty, it was kind of one of those where I read it. I was like, I thought we already went through this. Now we got to officially, have
Yeah.
the divorce. I hope he doesn't retire. That's the one thing that, kind of would throw the monkey wrench in all this, because he seems like the type of guy that would just say, you know what, I'm done playing it. I'm playing the sport, maybe not the game itself, but the outside circumstances kind of tires. I think these athletes, that's the way these teams kind of just drag their feet with the signing and what they want to do. It's like, I think I kind of would echo what Brian just said. It's in, one more player gone and one less, sentimental reason for me to even take a moment to even think about that team. I mean, it's going to be weird not seeing him behind center, I'll tell you that. But I'm not surprised, quite frankly, if that's the way that team does things.
Yeah. I mean, you see them handle it with him and guys like Weddle and Antonio Gates upon their departure. I guess I wasn't, like you guys were saying, not really too surprised that it ended this way. I think after Rivers' press conference at the end of the season, when he was kind of like, I gave it my all, and, he's tearing up, and you kind of knew that was likely the end with the Chargers. Of course, Rivers, the consummate professional, thanking the Spanos franchise, or the Spanos family.
Yeah.
And thanking the organization for his time there. Like, part of me just wanted him to be like, this organization
Screw
is
you
crap
guys, I'm
from the
going
top
home.
down,
But that he would never do that. I
Yeah.
think that's what's so great about him is as much, he's like, for me at least, he's the polar opposite of the way I would react. Like, that's what I would do. I would say, screw you. I hope your franchise goes to hell. I'm gonna go to a team, hopefully in the AFC West, and kick the crap out of you for as long as I have. But I applaud the way
He's probably thinking a little bit of that.
Kick the poop out of you.
yeah. He would never curse, but
Kick the gosh darn poop out of you.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I applaud that though, the way he handled it.
Do you guys think it would have been different if the Chargers had stayed in San Diego? Like Thomas is saying, maybe he would retire so that he could be with one franchise his entire career, but his time with the franchise when they left, it seemed like he didn't want to go to LA with them. He was San Diego's quarterback. And then, playing all those road games at the StubHub Center and whatever they call it. I don't know, it kind of like taints things a little bit. So, I don't know. I feel like maybe if they had stayed in San Diego, he feels a little differently. And it is, hey, I was a San Diego Charger my entire career, and that would mean something. But the fact that the franchise moved and changed names, and I don't know. I think that may play a part in whether or not he comes back. Like, I think he'll go play for somebody now. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it was. I do applaud him for sticking with that team in that situation. I mean, I know he was under contract, but still staying here in San Diego, driving to LA almost every day for practice.
It's not an easy commute.
No, not exactly. So I applaud the guy. I really hope and wish him the best, and I'm going to be glued to how he finishes his career.
Where do you think that'll be?
So I was reading an article on CBS Sports
Yep.
that listed the top 5 landing spots, and the Raiders were on there, which Thomas has written about. So Thomas isn't
I think Thomas
completely
was
out
the
there.
first one on that, and that got a lot of reaction online.
It also lists the Panthers, Buccaneers,
Bears,
and then the number 1 was the Colts.
and I could actually see that.
Yeah, go into that.
Yeah, Frank Wright was, the head coach was here with him in San Diego, and his offensive coordinator and his quarterback coach were also lower level assistants with the Chargers. So, I think that's where it's going to come down to Rivers. I think his next spot, he has to have familiarity. He can't just go into a situation and not know. The Bears to me seems like to be a reach because it's cold weather, and I don't know at his age if he can handle that towards the end of the season. I think he'd do great at the beginning of the year, but I mean Chicago's brutal, and I just wouldn't want that. Where Indy, he plays all of his games in a dome, so it's a controlled environment. He's gonna look how well it helps Breeze out, and the Raiders obviously that would to me, quite frankly, it does seem like if you wanted to stick it to the Spanos family, that's the perfect place to go.
Yep.
And I think Gruden would bend over backwards to kind of make him feel at home. I mean, if you watch Hard Knocks, and he did that with Antonio Brown, and and that was a lost situation. And Gruden, who everybody says is such a negative, was Mr. Positive all throughout that 4-episode series with Antonio Brown, and I think if he could have a quarterback like Rivers, because one, he loves the two mentalities are similar.
Totally.
And Gruden probably curses 100% more than Rivers does, but what I'm saying is, and I think they would just hit it off, and and he's a perfect complement for Jacobs, and maybe they tweak the passing game a little bit to his favor, but a tight end, and and he knows Williams from his time with the Chargers, so that's why I thought it was just the perfect scenario for him. But I could see Indy too. Indy looks like a great environment for him as well.
Yeah.
There was an interesting one that you just mentioned, Andy. Carolina. The thing that with Carolina that kind of jumps out to me is Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey right now is playing like prime LT, like catching the ball out of the backfield, and we know Phillip is great with a running back who can catch and be an asset in the passing game, and he's just, I think, all around the best player in football. That would be exciting to see what they could do there. It would be maybe a little different if Ron Rivera was still in Carolina, the familiarity piece there, but I don't know. That's just an intriguing one to me. Greg Olson is leaving the Panthers, I believe, but I don't know. I hadn't thought about that scenario, and they played pretty darn well with Kyle Allen under center last year, and I don't know who Kyle Allen is or where the hell he came from, and I think that's his name. I'm not even totally
There's
sure.
Like 3 Allens,
Yeah.
random first names playing.
Yeah,
at one point this season in the NFL.
So, I don't know. And the Bears were 2 years ago. They went 12-4, and they were like a quarterback away from probably being the best team in the NFC that year. That's intriguing too.
There's a handful of teams. We've talked earlier about Denver.
Yeah.
Tennessee. I think that's going to be interesting to see what Tennessee does with Mariota probably departing.
Yep.
Tannehill coming off a comeback year.
Yeah.
Would you sign a 31-year-old Tannehill or a 38-year-old Phillip Rivers?
Well, I mean, I think they're probably going to have the recency bias and go with Tannehill because he had a really good handful of games with them. But I thought a year ago Tennessee would be the perfect place for Phillip to go. This was before Tannehill went and did that stuff. I still think they'd probably be better off with Phillip than Tannehill. But, you know, they went to the AFC Championship game, won in New England. I think the smart money for Tennessee or the easy selection would be to stick with Tannehill. He's going to require a lot more money this time than what they got him for a year ago. And I don't know. I still like that fit.
But was Tannehill successful because he had Derrick Henry there? And he's a free agent too. So, like, do they have to pick one or the other? Can they get him as a package deal and saying, look what we built with you two there. If we keep this and then we add, a few more pieces, are we playing in the Super Bowl next year? I think that's what those players have to think about as well. Because, man, Derrick Henry is a beast. I mean,
He is.
He's the most, as far as, like, strength and running ability, he's, like, unbelievable. But, so many, like, I can't believe how unsettled the quarterback position is in the NFL. I mean, I even read stuff this morning about Brady possibly going into the Cowboys if they can't get a deal done with,
Yeah.
with Prescott.
Well,
And I was
Dak's
like, what?
probably going to command, close to $40 million a year. Tom Brady come in, take a little Dallas Star discount, and I don't know.
$30 million?
Yeah. 28 and a percentage of the team. I don't think Jerry would go for that, but it's crazy. The amount normally quarterbacks don't get to free agency.
No,
like
I
that
know.
just doesn't happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a second tier guy or whatever. But the big star quarterbacks get locked up. There's like almost no such thing as free agent quarterbacks in the NFL. Drew Brees was an exception, but that was because he had a torn up shoulder and nobody knew if he'd be able to play again. It's crazy. This offseason in football is going to be wild.
I'm excited. Last time we went on the podcast, it was right before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, MVP last season, Super Bowl MVP this year, in just his third year. Any reaction to what he's done in his young career, or what transpired there in Miami?
Wow. I mean, that game was like, there was, it brought out so many like horrible aspects of me during the Super Bowl. I was like, what are you doing? Like, he looked like he was so inept for like two and a half quarters, and then he started to get it going in that third quarter, and I was just like, wow. I was like, you sat there, you were just amazed. I mean, that throw to Hill on that 3rd and 15, I mean, that was the game. I was like, when he completed it, I was like, they're going to win this game. I mean, that, sometimes I hate the business we're in because, the hype for that prior to that game was that he'll be considered the best if he wins one Super Bowl. And I'm all like, why do we have to always like conclude a career when it's just beginning? It's like, can we just enjoy Patrick Mahomes right now? This is his first Super Bowl. We hope of many, and like, can we just enjoy this one? And then not, I don't want to like. Do I need to already write his farewell to the NFL column when he just started?
Yeah,
It's like,
you do.
Yeah.
That's the rules, Thomas. Don't you know anything about sports
I was
media?
like, my God. I was like, the kid's so great, and it's like, there's so much more potential I saw in that game. I think my point is, there's so much more potential of him that we're going to see in the coming years. Like, you know, you're going to see that enthusiasm, and it's going to turn into like a Grizzly veteran that will probably bring like a bunch of younger players and tell them to calm down. And to me, the biggest rip-off in that Super Bowl was Damian Williams. He should have been the MVP.
Yeah, he was nasty. Little San Diego connection there.
Home product.
Yep.
A Marauder, right?
He is, Mir Mesa. Yep.
Yeah.
So he kind of finishes off the Super Bowl with that run. I found myself on a couch at halftime watching the halftime show, right alongside some of Brian's family and his girlfriend or his fiance. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of in the wrong place, but no, that made a lot of news. Not that we need to talk about that
it did.
on this podcast.
I went back and watched it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in like a Super Bowl party kind of atmosphere, some things get lost and you miss different things here and there. And I missed a lot of the halftime show, but it got so much reaction and so much press. People, you know, freaking out about it. I was very impressed. I thought it was a really good halftime show. Super incredible talents, both Shakira and J-Lo. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was very Miami. I liked it.
Can I ask you guys one thing?
Depends on what that is.
I get that. At the beginning, like right at 3 o'clock, were you guys like, oh, can we start this game already? It seemed like everything was sponsored by somebody. You know, the coin toss took forever. We had the national anthem and God Bless America. I felt like, are we ever going to start this game when, you know, and then we had The Rock introduce both teams. I was like,
well,
wow, it took like 45 minutes before the actual kickoff.
Because I was part of the host family, I was running around like a crazy person trying to get everything all set before the party and get all the squares all figured out, and happened to win the second and third quarters of the squares, so that was nice. And I was so
Alyssa
close
already
toward
spend
the
that
end.
money?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's totally gone. I didn't even I didn't see it after it happened. But if Harrison Butker, who's been my fantasy kicker for the last 2 years, and I love him, he's so money. I wanted him to miss the extra point at the end of the game so badly because I would have won the final score too. I had 0-0. But of course he nailed it because that guy's super money. But yeah, I didn't notice too much of the early stuff because I was just running around like crazy. But that's part of the Super Bowl, you know, is like, I don't know, all the pomp and circumstance, and I kind of missed that for the most part each year, but I heard it was pretty wild.
Yeah, I guess that's just the day and age that we live in with the Super Bowl, as it's kind of become a world event and an amazing opportunity for any company to get its name out there.
We were about to have an ad, but we fell about $6 million short.
We
yeah,
didn't quite get the funding on that one.
Yeah, we were like, $10? Does that work? Facebook will boost us another 10 if we pay 10, but apparently the Super Bowl wasn't going for that.
Yeah.
Trying to piggyback with them.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, well, we started this segment talking about Phillip Rivers and the team that he played for in Los Angeles. We'll move on to another franchise in Los Angeles that is not inept, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I knew you were going there.
And
they tried to be. Yeah.
For us,
yeah, I know.
A pretty drama-filled trade with the Boston Red Sox as they land Mookie Betts, the highly touted and highly wanted soon-to-be free agent. There was rumors, there was thoughts, there was hopes, there was dreams that the Padres might acquire him. They were in the storyline, but nothing got done. And now we have to face him in that already juiced lineup
Loaded
in LA.
lineup, yeah, the Dodgers totally landed the prom queen. And we thought we had our shot. I was already envisioning it. And then, you know, he was going to love it so much here. Be like, oh, San Diego's awesome. I want to sign here.
And sign for $350.
Yeah.
$400 million.
False.
Our ticket sales are going to go up. We're going to become that franchise that can afford a $200 million payroll.
I know. And then when the Dodgers started getting their name in there, I was like, oh, anybody but the Dodgers. And then when the deal went through, and then it was held up for like a week, I was like, oh, there's still hope. Nope. The Dodgers.
And then I know, Thomas, you were watching it pretty closely the other day when there were still question marks about it.
Yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine who writes for baseball just texted me out of the blue, like around 11 o'clock on like Wednesday or Thursday. He goes, "Hey, I'm hearing that the pitcher for the Twins didn't pass his physical, and then he goes, but I don't know how much that means anything." And I was like, "Oh yeah." I go, and I kind of joked with him like, "Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy if that was the reason why the trade doesn't go through?" And we kind of just laughed like, "Yeah, like that happens." So, and then it just kind of caught on, and it was like, to me, I think it had something to do with that, but I think it had more to do. I don't think the Red Sox knew what kind of negative reaction this trade brought in their town, and they had to come up with some way to get more in the deal, and and they took the best shortstop prospect from the Dodger chain. I guess he's Jeter Downs. I guess he's like third in their organizational chart.
He's got a good name.
Yeah, that's gonna work well.
I don't know how they'll play in Boston. Yeah, right.
Hey, Jeter. But but that's how I feel like, because it's baseball's so weird now. It's like I don't understand why the Dodgers Angel trade got nullified, because it had nothing to do with the 3-team trade. So why if that trade was announced and went through, why all of a sudden that trade is now null and void? It's like, all right.
It's a little over my pay grade.
Yeah. It's just crazy. But I'm not that, to me, I don't think the Dodgers needed another hitter in their lineup. I think the Dodgers needed more pitching, clearly.
They might be a little thin in that department.
Yeah.
I think if there's one place that the Padres have a definitely better bullpen. So the Padres bullpen is potentially the best in baseball, the way it's configured right now, and super deep. Like they can, if the starters don't go a lot of innings, which happened last year, the bullpen was very taxed. So if something like that happens again this year, at least we got a lot of people we can ship around and have them taking the shuttle back to AAA and back to Petco. But their starting rotation, I mean, they lose Ryu, Rich Hill's gone. They still got some young studs, and obviously Walker Buehler at the top. Clayton Kershaw's getting a little bit older. He's 31, but he's pitched for 12 years in Major League Baseball.
Like
he's pitched in a lot of postseasons. Yeah, he seems way older than that. So there's been a lot of use on that arm. But that lineup, yikes.
So they win 106 games last year. Is there any way that they don't improve upon that?
I mean, it's really hard to win 106 games. They could win 100 again, though. Easy. Especially the fact that they play all the NL West teams 19 times. Man, they're going to win 60 of those games.
I hope not.
They lose Rue, though, and that guy was like...
He was a stud.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how you... I mean, David Price is not going to even come close to his numbers.
He's not going to have a 2.03 ERA.
No, not at all.
And be unhittable at home.
Yeah, no. Look,
they're just going to try to outslug everybody. They got it.
Yeah.
I lived through that. That doesn't work with the Yankees, so good luck with that. That doesn't work.
Well, that's where the San Diego Padres, trying to be like the Tampa Bay Rays, sneak in and, win 92 games of our own.
And, I mean, hate to segue, but that trade Saturday night kind of woke up everybody, too, with the Pods and the Rays.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the second off-season trade we've made with Tampa this year. I like the move. Makes our bullpen even stronger. Makes I don't want to say makes Kirby Yates dispensable, but it opens things up. He is going into the last year of his contract. We've got a handful of guys who could probably come in and close. Kirby Yates might be the best reliever in the game, so I don't want to discount him, but if we could get a stud piece in for that and everybody just slots up one more spot on the bullpen, I think we'd still be okay. So for Manuel Margot, who knows how much he was going to play, or he's just been so inconsistent for so long. He has like his really good month and then drops off the face of the earth. So I thought it was a good deal for the Pods.
I agree. I hope this is a team that I was talking to Thomas about this before we went on. If we have a 3-1 lead after 6 innings, like I want this to be a team that wins 90-95% of those games.
Yep.
You want, as a fan, you want to have that confidence. And we've seen teams like that.
We've had
with
that
the
in the past for
yeah.
sure. We just couldn't score 3 runs.
Yeah.
We couldn't get to 3.
Who do you guys think will be the center fielder?
With the current roster, probably Trent Grisham. I don't know. Maybe Wil Myers.
I'm hearing. I mean, Franchi Cordero, if he can.
Oh yeah.
If he can stay healthy, and he's the athlete that I would love out there. If again, he's had health problems. So, just from what we saw with him in his first year, 2 years ago, you know, but he's got to stay healthy. So, but yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to do that yet. But
like we've seen in the last couple of years, we'll probably see some type of platoon.
Yep.
Who knows how that will, how they'll go about that, but I don't think you have anybody where you can say they're going to be our starting center fielder a majority of games.
Would you guys like to, what would you think about signing Yasiel Puig? Because he's still out in the free agent market.
I like the name. Like, it's like, oh, that's a big name. Yeah.
Right.
But there are concerns there. Like, the Giants had an opportunity to sign him earlier this week, and they decided to go with Hunter Pence.
Right.
Yasiel Puig, you would think, would be a better player, but they just think Pence is a better fit. Puig has had moments where he just kind of is like, screw it, I don't really want to play.
Right.
But then he has moments where he looks like the best player in the league, and you're like, oh my God, if we could get this guy for $6-7 million, maybe you go for it. It's weird to me that he still hasn't signed with anybody. Like, either he wants too much money or people are afraid to bring him in, but he's the kind of guy, if he doesn't sign with anybody and then a month into the season we're kind of hurting, then you bring him in. I don't know. I don't know if they would bring him in before spring training wraps, but he probably gets cheaper and cheaper the later you wait.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see what these acquisitions are going to bring into the Padres. Because I kind of agree with what you guys have mentioned. Like, Grisham, I think, could come into that center field role and play pretty well. And you got Pham left, and
Tommy Pham is an on-base machine. I'm so excited about that. Like, a guy who's going to just get on like crazy, and we struggle mightily with that. We've been the worst team in baseball in that for so many years. So I'm excited about him.
You know, to me though, I don't think the Padres can move forward until they've kind of come to resolution on Wil Myers. And I know it's been a tired subject that we kind of talked about all through the podcast, but to me, I think before they leave Peoria, they're going to have to come to some type of resolution with Myers. You know, either you pay him off and just say, you know, good luck to you wherever you go. But I just can't see him starting the season, you know, in the lineup or on the bench, because I just think it brings a lot of negativity towards fans. I mean, the hostility sometimes you hear from the fans about him. I'm like, wow, he wasn't that bad, but I'm all like, but you know, but I get your point. You know, it's like one of those where you don't have a solid argument for like why are you so like adamant about this guy. But I just think that the biggest thing they got to do in spring training is come to a resolution with Myers and hope, you know, trade him for anything. I don't even think it has to be something major. It's just, you know, just kind of just close that chapter.
You guys think it might be something like because at the time when Wil Myers signed his deal, it was the biggest free agent signing in Padres history. It was $80 million. So then we have that expectation on him, kind of like the Andrew Wiggins piece in the NBA. Like, Andrew Wiggins just got traded to the Warriors, not because he's a terrible player, but because he was the #1 overall pick and they signed him to huge money. So then the fans are expecting, oh, you better be a difference maker and an all-star and all-NBA player. Like, we see Wil Myers as the all-star representative in San Diego and going to the home run derby and like, this is our guy. And then it just hasn't panned out like that. All of a sudden he's like, you know, your 6th or 7th best guy in the lineup, and you're like, come on, man, you're supposed to be producing. Like, so maybe the expectations are just warped or something, and somebody else wouldn't have those expectations when they get him, and they're like, oh, let's bring that guy in. Maybe he'll do really well here.
Yeah, I think the expectations were heightened. One thing that sticks out to me and why I think he's an easy target is kind of his perceived personality or his attitude. Kind of laid back, hair like surfer hair, kind of thing.
North Carolina Mexican food better than ours.
And he makes a few ridiculous plays defensively, so you can't really trust him in that regard. I don't know. It just sucks how it's transpired. Like, it's pretty crazy how he was able to command that free agent contract.
Do you think he'll still be a Padre? Do you think he'll be on the opening day roster with the Padres?
I do. Not because I want it, or I want a solution, but
Right.
I don't know if they can't get anything for him. He still has some value, I guess. I mean, he's a decent
I'm with
bat.
you, Andy. I agree. I think he's going to be on the roster too, even though I think it would be a huge mistake. I think Preller is Preller seems like sometimes like he's so concerned about his own job that if he lets this guy go and this guy, let's say, like goes to, I'm just going to throw out a team like Texas, it becomes like a hitting machine down there, and they're like, oh my God, this guy, how could the San Diego Padres give up this guy? Ron Fowler's going to be stewing, and that's not good for AJ Preller. And I'm just like, oh, they would rather have him just bat 237 and play Fortnite.
Are you hearing rumors about Texas?
Thomas, the first to break it.
That's right. This is like Phillip Rivers to the Raiders. Thomas is like, oh, I hear Wil Myers is going to the Rangers. Everybody starts, oh my gosh, did you hear Myers to the Rangers? Preller's trying to deal with his guys. Jace Tingler's got some guys on the inside. They're going to get Wil Myers in there and resurrect him.
I think I saw you, Brian. You pointed out some spring training photos and how that brown looked pretty good.
Oh, baby, that looks good. My goodness.
Even
if they don't do
it's
anything
like the
else
all
wrong.
brown,
Yeah.
practice uniforms.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Basketball shorts and the long shirts or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like all brown is
seriously.
just like
It looks so good.
amazing.
And then the little yellow SD on the leg there, but yeah, just looking at him out there in brown and not just in the blue where it could be anybody. Like, it's so Padres, and I love it. That's why this team can do no wrong this year.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, they're going to trot out there in those amazing uniforms every night, and for that, I am super proud. So 2020, whether the team does well or not, it's a winning season for the franchise in my mind.
So 6 weeks before the season starts,
Yep.
give or take something around that. What's a fair expectation for this team, wins-wise?
To look damn good doing it.
I just want the Padres to look good. I'm gonna
What-
get that shirt.
What's their? At least we look good. Oh my gosh, what's the win over under total right now for them?
Probably,
I
it's
feel
probably
like
high
it's
70s.
I think it's something like 78 or
yeah,
something.
it's got to be right around there.
You got to be 500,
Yeah,
right?
I think you got to be.
You got to be
500.
81 wins. I think that's like our barometer. And then if they win 84, then great success. If they win 78, probably a little bit of a down year.
Then some heads are falling, right?
Heads may
According
roll.
to-
Yeah, probably not. I'll
San
take-
Diego.
Yeah.
You've been talking to Fowler?
Yeah. Breaking news right here. Wil Myers is a Ranger, and Ron Fowler says no one's getting fired. Yeah, so I think 81 is reasonable.
Yeah.
That's a good. I'll take 84 actually. 80, in an 84, 85 range.
Greedy New Yorker. We can't get all the New York out of him, Andy. I'll take 97, 98 wins.
I'm not that.
Most
I'm
ever
not
in
gonna be
franchise
that
history.
unrealistic. I'm really intrigued on how this pitching staff is going to look because, when I'm sitting there, I'm bored. I'll usually just jot down what do I think about the rotation, and especially after that trade, I was saying, wow, this really plays into their hand where they can bring up a Mackenzie Gore and just kind of have an innings count during his starts because the deep bullpen, and to me, that's what I don't really care about the wins and losses. I want Mackenzie Gore to kind of establish himself as that next link in that rotation. Because I think Zach Davis is going to be the biggest difference in this team because I think
Yeah, that
I
guy's
really
good.
do. I like him as a pitcher, and I think he's going to be a pretty. I think he's going to. I think he's going to have the most wins on the staff. I think because of the way he plays in that ballpark. And
Ooh, Chris Paddock's going to hear that, and he's going to be real
Hey,
mad. He's going to see you around
I would love
Petco,
to
and
see
he's going to.
Paddock, but
He's gonna kick you with a spur on his boot.
Yeah, I know.
Thomas is gonna be bleeding in the shins from Paddock getting him.
I hope I am. I mean, I hope I can eat those words. But
No, but if Zach Davies leads the team and wins, that means that, yeah, because I still think everyone else is gonna be really solid. I'd totally go for that. That means we'd be pretty darn good.
how much do you guys take into spring training? Like, what do you look for in spring training? Like, do you look at the young players and see how much they develop? I mean, how do you look at spring training?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the spots where there's questions. So, center field for us, some of the starting pitching spots. Those are kind of the areas that I like to diagnose as much as possible.
Well, I think this year there will be so much competition among the pitching staff that I think spring training is going to be really important, and guys are going to be fighting for a spot in the pen and fighting not to be sent down to start the season. That opening day roster, those 13 or so pitching spots that are available, it's going to be grind it out during spring training. Someone like Garrett Richards, what I want to see out of him is don't get injured.
Exactly.
Like, go out there and have an outing or two where you pitch 6 innings and then you can go back out and throw another five days later. Like, I'd like to see that out of someone like him. Chris Paddock, just cruise. You don't have to do what you did last spring. But Mackenzie Gore, Luis Patino, I want to see those guys have a Paddock-like spring from a year ago and really make the team think about them for an opening day roster spot, or at least, coming up May, June or so. And then a guy like a Cal Quantrill to see if he can try to fight his way into the rotation or, force his way into being a member of the bullpen and a spot starter here and there. Like, I think right now he's probably on the outside looking in of both the rotation and the bullpen. So to see how he performs in his second year with the club, I don't know. Those are the kind of things I'm looking for. Fernando Tatis Jr., just get some reps. Don't be too
Stay
crazy.
healthy.
Machado, just cruise. Like, the big guys, they don't need to do anything wild. Then, like, if Greg Garcia hits 400 and Jurickson Profar hits 230, I still think Profar is your second baseman.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to change my thoughts there. It's probably unfair, but I don't know. I'm very excited to see how some of those young guys pitch against major league hitters.
Do you think the pitching staff is unsettled, or the backup positions? Like with the couple opening positions, where do you think a player can sneak onto the roster? Would it be as a backup player or in the bullpen starting staff?
I would say the pitching staff. I think if Myers is still in the outfield, you kind of have your 5 or 6 outfielders.
Yep.
And then you have Taylor Trammell. I don't know if he's probably going to be in AAA this year.
Yep.
But he's a guy that you want to watch in spring training.
Hell, if he hits 400 and plays an awesome center field, he could be the center fielder. Like, he could force his way in, and then one of the fringe outfield guys, gets the hook. But yeah, that is a fun piece to think about, Taylor Trammell and how he slots in here.
One final question: how long do you think they'll go with Mejia as the catcher? Fernando Mejia.
Francisco
Mejia.
Mejia.
Excuse me.
I mean, as long as he keeps hitting 300 and playing a decent enough catcher and having a cannon back there.
Yeah, I guess I would. Who knows how it'll play out? But I see him maybe playing 2/3 of the games and Hedges starting 1/3. That, from my perspective, I think how they should approach it. But we'll see.
It'll be interesting to
I
see
love his bat.
how they manage the catching situation. Because his bat is awesome. Hedges' bat is so bad. Hedges' glove is so good, and Mejia's glove is eh. So it's a weird conundrum.
Yeah.
And the learning curve for the manager. How long do you
That's
think?
Andy's boy.
What's
He's
that?
ready
Sorry, I
right
didn't hear
now.
what you said.
No, the learning curve for the
Oh,
catcher.
Yeah. Andy with his tinglay.
Tingler's my man. Tingler's gonna be awesome. I'm just a Tingler homer, and but we'll see. I mean, again, this is a new team, totally new team. It's gonna take them time. Hopefully, they address some of the issues and the challenges here in spring training. But I like his philosophy. If they go 10-20 in April, which I hope they don't, I'm not going to give up on the season because I think they have enough talent to change that type of thing around, and that Tingler's pretty workable and hopefully can inspire these guys to come together and be a decent team. Going back to, I guess, the original question I said at the beginning about what we expect from this team, I agree with you, Brian. Like a 500 team is what we would expect. I think you give a 10-game differential as to their ceiling and floor. Like they could possibly repeat what happened this year, around 70 wins. But I think this is a team that could compete for a wild card spot, and I don't think that we should be afraid to say that.
Yeah.
I, of course, did say that this team was going to win the division about 6 months ago. So the homer in me is going to keep that on the radar. The realist in me is saying this is a team that could and should compete for a wild card spot.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that. I think they should contend for it. I mean, I think it's all, everybody's so, down because we didn't acquire Betts, but if they're playing good baseball, how do you know, the next person that's going to be available on the open market, especially during the trade deadline? We could do what the Dodgers did 2 years ago and just rent, when they rented Machado, we could rent a ball player and try to, if we're having that type of a season, that was the one thing that I kind of got into the debate with Jeff on our last podcast was that I think, I don't think this team is shies away from making those type of moves.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's like we're going into spring training with a lot of questions, but, if the majority of them are answered in a positive direction, I have no problem with saying that this team will go out and make the right moves to try to gain that wild card bid or, even, the Western Division if they come close to it. So it should be an interesting summer, no doubt.
I agree. Well, from one team that we love to another. How about them Aztecs? Still undefeated.
Still at it, baby.
Yeah.
I watched the entire game against Utah State, which was pretty fun. Where Matt Mitchell just out of nowhere.
I know.
That was so much fun
that
to watch.
Second
that
half
guy.
was unreal. That was so cool.
And that's the beauty of this team. They've got a handful of guys that, if you limit Flynn or whoever,
Yeah,
it's a special team.
Lot of ways they can hurt you. KJ Fagan's gone off for over 20 points in 3 of the last 5 games, and Matt Mitchell just going bananas against Utah State in that game. Yanni Wetzel before that had a handful of 20-point games in a row. Malachi Flynn at any moment can just get loose. And then Jordan Shackle might be the best pure shooter on the team with the quickest release. And he's the 5th option in that starting lineup. So it's just such a deep, fun team to watch. And if someone's having an off night, everybody else is going to pick them up. Their defense is always going to be really good. They gave up a lot of points to Air Force because they played a zone. They were playing, mile and a half up in the air. They knew they were going to get winded, so they just played a totally different type of defense. At the end of the game, with about 5 minutes to go, when they switched back to man, they blitzed them and ended up taking, a 16, 18-point lead there toward the end, winning by 14. But that game never really felt in question. This team is so well-balanced and fun to watch and explosive on offense and in your stuff on D. I'm nervous about tonight because of how much we embarrassed New Mexico the last time out. Taking a 17-0 lead, leading by, close to 40 points at points in that game at New Mexico. So I think that team is going to be re-energized to come out and show that it was a fluke, but we just have better players. So I got no doubt that the Aztecs are going to send it to 25-0 tonight. They're winning so many games we can't even keep up with podcasts.
Right.
They're still on number 23. They're going for win 25 tonight. And they could wrap up the Mountain West regular season title tonight with a win, which is insane. They played 14 conference games, and they're about to win the championship already.
Especially they weren't even the preseason
I
pick.
know.
They didn't even get a first place vote, I don't think.
They didn't even get love from you in your preseason preview. No, you did. Thomas said they've got the pieces where they could potentially compete for a conference title. That's so awesome. Now we're talking about a national championship caliber team. And at the beginning of the year, the expectation was potentially compete for a conference title.
Yeah.
Whoo, baby.
So, bracketology-wise, Aztecs ranked 4th in the country right now. From what we've seen, the committee would likely put them as the number 1 seed in the East.
Yep.
How do you see this going for the Aztecs? Should that happen? And as a fan or as an analyst, what do you want? Where do you want the Aztecs seated?
Oh my gosh. Well, of course you want to be a number 1 seed because that's just awesome.
Yep.
And like that's a cool thing. And can you believe San Diego State we're talking about as a number 1 seed in the
First time
tournament?
ever.
Like there are certain things where you just think like, oh, number 1 seed, that's like Duke and Kansas, even Gonzaga now. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. San Diego State, no way. So that would be super awesome. I would love it to be a number 1 seed in the West because then they get to play Sacramento and LA. Right now they have them slotted as the number 1 seed in the East, playing at Madison Square Garden against the number 2 seed Duke in the Elite Eight. So
Don't
the
do
part
it.
of me that doesn't want that to happen, there's also a part of me that's like, yeah, dude, we're better than Duke. We're going to go to their second home and stomp the floor with them and get to the Final Four. We'll be the first Pacific Time Zone team to ever win the East Regional. That's what's at stake here, and an undefeated season. I want him to stay undefeated and just do this. I think it'll be a tougher path to the Final Four, but you never know. Like, Duke could get upset in the tournament. It's happened before.
Happened
Duke
plenty
may
of
not
times,
make
yeah.
it to the Elite Eight. San Diego State might not make it to the Elite Eight. Who knows? But stay undefeated, baby. I don't care what region they send us to.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby. Survive in advance. I think we have the most complete and well-balanced team in the country, or at least, one of the top 4 of those. So if those are the 4 number 1 seeds, Baylor, Kansas, Gonzaga, and San Diego State, I'll take my chance that those other guys get picked off on their way, and let's cut down some nets. Let's do it. Sign me up for undefeated.
Duke brings their own referees. Did you see that game on Saturday night against North Carolina?
They sure got them back into it quick. Yeah.
I mean, this is typical NCAA screwing with San Diego State. They did it the first year when they won their first Mountain West title. They put them in the United Center against top-ranked Illinois. I was like, are you kidding me? We couldn't go like anywhere else, but we have to face the team in their home. And for Duke, Madison Square Garden is like their second home arena.
Yep.
They play so many games in that arena. It's like they're gonna bring the referees, and it's
Mike
gonna be-
Krzyzewski's record in that arena is 31-11, which means he's played 42 games in that arena.
Wow.
That is insane.
I'm just like, no, I don't want that. Stumble along the way,
I
get that
want it,
number
baby.
2 seed, so
Mm-mm.
we can play Gonzaga
No
up at
dice.
Staples.
Sign me up. Connecticut came into L.A. and beat Anaheim at the time.
Yeah.
Beat San Diego State in the Sweet 16 en route to a national championship. So they had to come to our territory in a game that was very hostile environment. A lot of San Diego State fans there in 2011, and they smoked us. Went on and won the title. We're gonna go do the same thing. We're gonna go to the East Coast and whoop up on whoever they send in our way. Undefeated, baby.
I like the take.
National champs.
Yeah, I agree. To try to analyze it too much and predict and see what the best path would be. I mean, it's a freaking NCAA tournament where the craziest stuff happens.
Yeah, where nothing makes
So,
sense.
right, and you're going to have to beat some top-seeded teams the last 3 or 4 games of the tournament if you make it to the title.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't think you should get caught up too much in it, but it would be cool if they were here on the West Coast for
Totally.
a majority of the tournament. Where's the Final Four?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, baby. Atlanta. All right, well, we may have to make a trip out there.
Yep. I'm down. We're in.
We're going on the road.
We're going on the
Yeah,
road.
take the show on the road.
BCSC on the road. Brought to you by nobody.
Someone. Yeah, McGregor's. Yeah. Live from not McGregor's this week. I was hoping, today's episode 23, I was hoping to have my Fernando Tatis Jr. jersey by this point so that I could bust it out and have it like hidden underneath a jacket or something and then take it off and show. So it didn't happen.
Which one are you going with?
I'm gonna go with the home white.
Home white.
Ooh.
Yeah, just because it's the pinstripe. It's my dream. It's the closest to the one that I designed a couple years ago that I wanted them to go with, and that's what I'm going with.
I gotta find somewhere where I don't have to customize a Jay Stingler jersey. Anybody make
Old number
them for real?
32. I don't know. I don't know if you're gonna find those at the team store at
Patch on my own
Fanatics
leathers
or
and
whatever. That'll be pretty funny. A little homemade
Homemade action.
tinglay.
Sporting dude doesn't have the ting man.
And you can put a little like a the asterisk of the tinglay instead of tingler.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good
I'm
stuff.
with that. Who's Thomas supposed to get? Paddock?
Yeah,
Paddock, the sheriff.
Apparently it's Zach Davies now.
Yeah.
Jeez. This guy.
I have a thought, and I hope I'm there on opening day. Chris Paddock starting
Oh yeah, I hope so too. I think
the new brown jerseys.
Yep. Oh god. And
Downtown San Diego.
He'll be wearing the stirrups too. Woo!
Can't wait.
It's gonna be nice. We should broadcast live from the block party.
Oh, that'd be
yeah.
great.
Talking to everybody.
Someone set that up.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys, it's been fun. Episode 23.
Yeah, no doubt.
Good work. Make sure you rock the brown and eat more tacos. That's going to do it.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.